do you want to quickly introduce yourself and your project?
My name is Sahar. I'm a founding member over at a project called ChoiceDAO, which was launched in response to the overturn of Roe. We are a global community of Web3 enthusiasts and activists that are all coming together to fund and engage in this fight for reproductive rights that's now under attack. Our goal is to raise $1 million and send 100% of that money to frontline nonprofits, helping people access urgently needed care. But more importantly than the capital, we're looking to build this flywheel of participation with our community. That is one thing we love about the DAO structure, to get people engaged in the fight themselves with their own resources, talent, not just capital and skills.
Awesome, cool. And as you've been starting out this journey, I know that it's a fairly young DAO. What attracted you to doing this specifically in crypto and bringing social good to the crypto space?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if we were just doing a fundraiser, crypto wouldn't be the space right now. Given the market is not doing so hot, we would probably do something in Web2 like a Kickstarter. This conversation around what would we do in Web3 actually started when the Supreme Court decision got leaked. And I connected with the woman who started a foundation called Girls Who Code, who had successfully raised a bunch of money through cryptocurrency. We were looking around, looking at the sources of funding for the repro rights space and saying, you can count the big donors on one hand. What happens when those funding sources dry up? What happens when these models, that haven't changed in years, stay the same and people disengage with that? I think right now a lot of people feel helplessness and despair. You can vote, you can donate, you can tweet, but we're all still here wondering, what does that actually do? And so what we love about Web3 is there's this incentive to engage in the community. It's not just about fundraising, but by, at least in our DAO, by contributing, you get voice and governance and how the project operates and how we engage with the issue. People are really excited to stand up and say, okay, how can I help? Here's how I can help. And I think using cryptocurrency and like powered by blockchain, we can move faster and reach more people than movements have historically ever thought possible. So this is like, in thinking about what is the future of organizing look like, what is the future of activism, we need to engage new people, new ideas, new technology to make this work sustain. This is like a decade-long fight. This is not a quick, like, okay, they made this decision, we need to change the senator or move this, it's going to be a long haul. And so how do we get people engaged? And what we've been seeing, which has been so amazing, has been this activation through the global community. It's not just a US issue for reproductive rights. People are looking at it like the US is often a model for other countries. They're making these decisions. We don't want that to blow back on us. Also, we think this is a human right, not a political thing. So it's been really fascinating and exciting to see people stand up, and that participation is the key differentiator between just a fundraise versus something I think that's powerful in Web3.
Awesome. Yeah, I love all of that. And as you're bringing all of that to life, like, do you have any tangible examples of like how things are working, or maybe you can share some of your successes so far?
Yeah. So one, I will say it's not been an easy road. It's been really interesting. This is my first project, either participating in a DAO or starting a DAO. I'd been really interested in DAO tooling, so I've been familiar with a little bit of the landscape, but the first question is legal. And if we want to run it the way we want to run it, we need a clean entity. So time to spin up a UNA, and then we need a 501c3 status, which right now takes 12 months. And like the UNA processing is more than a week when it should be 1 or 2 days. So things have been challenging on that front. On the exciting front, we've been coming together as a community to see how we can support nonprofits and how we can participate in lieu of that. So that's the blocker right now to accepting direct contributions. But we've already started to onboard the bigger nonprofit foundations to cryptocurrency to be able to sustainably accept that money in the future. We have, one of our members built like a tool that connects people to services like transportation to people seeking help. And we've been doing a lot of community education. There's a lot on the data privacy side that's at risk and in play here. So, people with the law enforcement can use like geo warrants to put pegs around a geographical area and track all the phones that went through it. And so if you're seeking care, you should probably leave your phone at home, turn it off, or not use credit card or cash to pay for transactions. It's best to use gift cards. There's like a lot of reverberating effects beyond just like halting access to abortion care. And then we've been really inspired by the creativity and innovation in the space. So there's a woman, there's a documentary about her called Vessel, and she was sailing a ship around the world to give people access to healthcare because they had no legal alternatives, which is just like a really inspiring, fierce kind of response to these types of restrictions. So there's been a lot of other ways that we're getting involved and helping each other out and helping nonprofits, aside from waiting for our legal application to get accepted, but we were finally approved on Monday. So we're looking ahead to
Yeah,
next week.
that's awesome. And besides getting all of the paperwork figured out, do you have anything on the horizon that's exciting as far as like what's next or your roadmap?
So for mission one, we have this like volunteer operation that's going to raise this money and that's going to deploy it. And we passed a governance framework ahead of starting that mission, off chain, of course, to be able to be set up to run as fast as possible once we do have money coming in. Beyond mission one, it's really up to the community to vote and decide how they want to operationalize the long-term success of the project. I think there's tons we could do, whether it's building tools, whether it's engaging people on the voting front, whether it's raising more money for these organizations, or doubling down on what we've already been doing. So I'm really excited to see how the community self-organizes beyond the first mission. We haven't laid out the full roadmap because this is all like so nascent. And they haven't had a chance to kind of have that conversation beyond the first project goal.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with a lot of DAOs, things that I see are like a gradual decentralization, and there's this balancing between needing some leadership to help point people in the right direction, and then like the community to really rally up and put that decentralization into play. And then you also mentioned the off-chain versus on-chain, and it's another like balancing act within DAOs. With all of those like challenges and balancing acts that people will encounter as they're making their way into the Web3 space, do you have any like words of wisdom or inspiration to share with people as they get started on that journey?
What we've been hearing from a lot of people is, I really wanted to get involved in Web3. It's so daunting. It's kind of like learning finance. It's a different language, but once you learn the language, like, of course, on chain, off chain, my wallet, this makes all the sense. But and they need a motivation to cross that hump. And this project, for a lot of people who care about this issue, has been the motivation. And so I think it's interesting thinking about DAOs not as like communities with shared wallets, like but like communities around a shared mission. And what is that mission that you're articulating to people that want to join your community, and how does that resonate with them? I think that latch is often like the best hook for people to care enough to go through all the hoops, learn all the things. And that's what we've been seeing, is that the mission really resonates with people and makes them want to get involved in the project for the sake of the mission. And the project is like, oh, great, I have finally something I can dig myself in to learn Web3. So, and then once you're in it, the community is very, very inclusive and really helpful. And everyone here wants to help each other succeed and build and thrive. And we've been just so indebted to and grateful to all the people on our founding team, all of our community members, and they're just industry experts who have guided us through what is the proper governance framework, how do we think about tooling requirements, what are the best tools to start with, how do you expand across like multiple chains once you do open for direct contributions, given we have limited technical bandwidth. So it's just like very, very, very collaborative, and that's the best part.
Very cool. And then where do you see this all going in like, 3 years, 5 years, whether the social good is being done in Web3 or in general? You spoke a little bit about the fact that this is not a one and done situation, that it's an ongoing thing. So where do you see things going?
I really think this is the future of how people organize. And it has to be mission specific to people, like different causes. People will care about different things. because of their own experiences and what environments they're living in. And we are learning a lot from like Ukraine DAO. There's Big Green DAO. There's like Bubble DAO, like a million different DAOs focused on creating better representation in the space or focusing on a specific humanitarian issue. And so I think these like cause-led projects will be basically the future. I think any movement like BLM should have one. All the climate people should have a DAO. Like the psychedelic researchers should have. You know, everyone should be able to leverage and tap into the power of this global community. It's geo-agnostic. Like you don't have to. You're no longer constrained by your neighborhood. And you know, the internet kind of opened that up. But then blockchain, I think, takes it a step further and helps you get even more folks on the same page as you. And I think here in our specific case, one of the benefits is transparency, of course. Like all of the way that we manage funds will go and be visible on the ledger. We will also not be subject to government lockup because of cryptocurrency. Like right now, people are thinking they can donate to local organizations. But like if I'm in Texas and I want to donate to a local clinic, that clinic might not be in operation tomorrow or even now. And so it kind of is like a protective layer with cryptocurrency that I think it affords us. Yeah, I do think this is the future of how people organize. And I think DAOs are one interesting way. I'm sure there'll be other forms and iterations on top of that concept of a DAO. And also just DAO means so many different things right now. There's so many different use cases and models to employ. So it'll be really interesting to see how this evolves beyond reproductive rights.
Absolutely. Very cool. And then to sum things up, do you want to leave us with any tips on where we can find more info about the project, how people can get involved, and then also like how people in the near ecosystem can help out and connect with you?
Yes, we are at Twitter at the ChoiceDAO. Our Discord is public, and we would love to welcome anyone in. Just introduce yourself, and we can plug you in where you want. So I would just say join our Discord. That's the best way to get started. And then you can feel free to DM me either on Twitter. My handle is Sahar FYI, or you can reach me on Discord.
Excellent.
I would love to connect with more reach people, please.
Yay. Yeah, we've got a huge vertical of social cause DAOs on Nero. Out of the 250 weekly active DAOs, there's a good quarter at least of them that are into causes and have really noble missions. So really excited to connect the dots, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you.